Welcome back to another episode of Shabbat Shmooze. This week's Parsha is Parshat Pinchas. Let's review the Parsha together. Parshat Pinchas begins with Hashem rewarding Pinchas, who is the grandson of Aaron HaKohen, for a very bold, zealous act of killing Zimri and Cozbi in the middle of a horrible, immoral act in order to stop a plague from occurring for all of Bnei Israel. Pinchas was the only one in the entire crowd who stood up for what's right in order to defend Hashem's honor. While everyone else watched in fear, in shock, and disgust, Pinchas was the one who rose with courage. Now, what's most surprising is not the act of Pinchas having the courage and the zealousness to stand up and defend Hashem and to do what's right. It was the reward Hashem promised him. Hashem says, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen heshir et chamati me'al bnei Israel lachen emor hineni noten lo et briti shalom. Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron HaKohen, turned my wrath away from the children of Israel. Therefore, I give him my covenant of peace. Now, why would a violent act result in the blessing of peace? Because true zealotry must come from love, not from anger. Hashem didn't want to reward Pinchas had he acted out in wrath and in rage. He saw that Pinchas was so genuinely hurt by the way Hashem's kavod was being destroyed, and he did it out of love for Hashem. That is when Hashem blessed him, the Olam Va'ed, with peace. Now, there's a beautiful story about a Jewish girl who her family couldn't afford to send her to yeshiva down in Texas, so they put her in a public school. Her name was Devorah. Devorah was the only Jew in her entire class, and Devorah's class began watching a movie during school, and the movie had some inappropriate content. So Devorah, not really being super affiliated with her Yiddishkeit, not being very frum, she knew she's Jewish, but she wasn't observant, knew at that moment where this movie was playing that this isn't right. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't make her insides feel holy. So she stood up in class and she said, I'm sorry, this is so inappropriate. I don't feel like we should be watching this. And at that moment, the teacher reflected and said, okay, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. Thank you. And she left the class, and later on, she got called into the principal's office. And she thought she was in trouble. She was a little bit nervous. But the principal called her in and said, Devorah, we had a meeting about your outburst in class. And Devorah got very nervous and she said, I'm so sorry. She said, no, don't apologize. You've made us rethink our school's choices for what we show our children. And because of your purity and because of the way you did it, we understand that you're right. That's not an appropriate thing to show a young grade. And long story short, Devorah turned out to be a tremendous balat teshuvah. She did complete teshuvah. She married an unbelievable rabbi. They learned all the halachot, and her home is now a totally kosher, holy home, serving Hashem in the most beautiful manner, keeping the Torah and mitzvot. So when Devorah had that moment where she looked around and saw no one else was bothered, no one else felt it was inappropriate, but she knew that what she was doing was right, and she stood up to defend Hashem's honor, that is when Hashem blessed her with peace forever, with a beautiful life of Torah and mitzvot. So I really feel, especially in this day and age, especially being in the 3 weeks, let our spiritual homework be us standing up, even if we stand alone, standing up with love for Hashem and with courage if we're in a surrounding where something feels wrong. So this week, our spiritual homework, channel your inner Pinchas. If you are in a conversation, or if you're in a group of women, where the conversation leads to Lashon Hara, you be the one to stand up to defend Hashem and say, guys, we're in the middle of 3 weeks. This just doesn't feel right. But make sure you don't do it out of rage, you only do it out of love. Because as we learned from Pinchas, his reward came from doing it out of love. Or if you are finding yourself in a group of people where the vibe turns a little unsneous, you be the Pinchas and you stand up with courage saying, this doesn't feel right, guys. Let's take it back to basics. As long as you do it with zealousness, with courage, and with love, you can rest assured that Hashem will promise you His covenant of peace forever. Love you all. Wishing you a Shabbat Shalom.